So the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 has come and gone to mixed reactions and feelings. A lot of folks were miffed at the price of the console, and they were even more miffed at the price of Mario Kart World as a standalone release, and now people are starting to do weird things like compare the portable screen on the console to high-level gaming monitors, saying the system isn't all that great. It's been a weird situation where the public has never really been this much at odds with Nintendo, and honestly, where Nintendo has never been this much at odds with us. And I think we kind of deserve it. Welcome back to Space Castle, where it's our mission to explore all things nerdy in the universe. I'm your Captain DT, and I had a generally good experience with the Switch 2 launch. I was able to get a pre-order at GameStop and pick it up the day of release, and I was even able to go early that morning to another store to wait in line for a friend who didn't have the time to get there himself, and I was able to get him one too. The console itself looks and feels premium. The new Pro Controller is honestly in contention for one of my top controllers ever, and overall I've had a great time. However, I've been playing a whole lot of Mario Kart World, and I'm seeing some things that have me thinking about things about things that I've steadily convinced myself are true. And those things is that Nintendo are mad at us.
Jesus Christ. Who the f*** taught you grammar?
The road to the announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2 was a weird one. The 8-year span of time between the original Switch and this new follow-up obviously had everybody antsy and impatient for news, but leaks of the console's specifications, Nintendo's plans of release, and even the look of the console itself was starting to slip through into the eyes of the public. The most notorious of which was probably the 3D printed Switch 2 replica that accessory maker Genki was showing off at 2025's CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is held in Las Vegas every year in January. You see, Genki was flashing around a 2-scale 3D printed model of the Switch 2, which presumably was crafted using dimensions or 3D models provided to them to produce accessories for retail. This turned out not to be the case. Nintendo finally officially announced the Nintendo Switch 2 in early April of 2025, and then a month later filed a lawsuit against Genki on May 2nd in the United States, suing Genki for infringement, unfair competition, and false advertising. Genki claimed that their model of the Switch 2 was actually just crafted based on the other myriad leaks and info that was flooding onto the internet. But when Nintendo finally made the Switch 2 announcement, once the leaks had hit their boiling point, Genki's 3D printed model turned out to be pretty fucking accurate. All this to say, I think the insurmountable wave of Switch 2 leaks hitting the internet and people actually having an unauthorized and probably illegal look at the console for the first time pissed Nintendo off. You see, Nintendo likes to do things their own way, and they get angry when people mess that up. And I think the timeline for announcing the Switch 2 and releasing both the console and Mario Kart World were truncated. They could no longer fully control the timing and the narrative, and Nintendo is punishing us for it in more than just the obvious ways. Now, I have enjoyed my time with Mario Kart World. I've unlocked all the characters and all the alternate costumes, I've collected well over 10,000 coins at this point, and I finished all the races and knockout tours at 150cc. Humble brag. The races themselves have been a source of contention for a lot of purists and traditionalists when it comes to Mario Kart. More on that in a bit. But that's not the game's real issue. For me, the real issue is with the open world aspect, which feels unfinished to the point of almost feeling like a series of liminal spaces, which actually kind of makes the open world really interesting to explore in a surreal way. Now, Eddie Austin did a video on his channel of the strange and liminal spaces of Mario Kart World, and I don't presume to speak on it better than he did or to step on his toes. If you're watching this video on a browser, you're going to see a card at the top to go watch that video. It's wonderful. And it helped me to not only reconcile and appreciate the absurdity and strangeness of Mario Kart World's open world, but to also discover something interesting about it. And take, for example, this random crate in the bay/moat area around Peach Stadium. Now, the moat is an interesting area for mostly being empty. There's some coins to collect, there's a block switch to hit, and that's pretty cool. It's weirdly empty and kind of bizarre, but there's still stuff to do. But there's this crate on the northeast side, and sometimes one spawns in the southeastern part of the bay as well. Now, if this was the open world in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, there would be like a Korok or an apple or some arrows in that box, something helpful. But here, it's a shell that hurts you and slows you down and costs you coins. Inconsequentially, as the coins don't really matter much in the open world exploration, but still, it's weird for Nintendo to punish our curiosity. Now, take a look at this large railway between the area under Question Block Ruins, which is up in the sky in sort of the southeast part of the map, and Peach Beach. It's a pretty long stretch of railway begging you to ride it, explore it, and see where it goes. And you end up next to this large train station and this gigantic pipe. Clearly, you've found someplace interesting, and pipes have often been a method of discovering areas off the beaten path for the entire duration of the Mario franchise. But when we enter the pipe, I'm sorry, that is some passive-aggressive shit right there. Almost hilariously so. Now, I personally do believe that Mario Kart World is probably unfinished. Even beyond the idea that we know content is going to be added to it soon and continuously, and then Nintendo will probably treat it like a work in progress for the duration of its shelf life, just like it did Mario Kart 8. But I think if Nintendo had their way, the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World probably would have been Christmas 2025 releases, even later possibly, and that both products, especially the game, would have had another 6 months of tweaking and development. Now, Mario Kart World is still a AAA experience, don't get me wrong. It has never crashed on me, I have never experienced a single glitch, and it looks and plays beautifully. But I would bet dollars to donuts that this is not the state Nintendo wanted the game to be in upon release. And I think they took the opportunity to drop these little FUs in the gaps of this empty world. And I kinda love them for it. Well, like I said before, Nintendo is stuck in their ways. They are a much older company than most people realize, and I liken them to your awesome old grandma who also had a little bit of a vindictive streak. Like the grandma who is always like kind and wonderful and fun to be around, but also stubborn and stuck in her ways and totally old school. Like thinking that Ronald Reagan was a good president, or believing that everybody on the internet is trying to put their dicks in you. You'd go and visit Grandma, and it would be the dopest experience. She'd always have activities ready and amazing cookies that you could never find on your own, no matter how hard you looked at the grocery store. You always looked forward to every visit, and every time it would be a memory you would cherish forever. But if you ever crossed her, if you ever missed her birthday dinner, you'd feel it. Not in ways you can necessarily explain to somebody without sounding entirely crazy, but like, in your next birthday card, you get $20 instead of $25. You'd probably receive one less piece of candy in your Christmas stocking than any of your siblings. Even if you didn't notice, she did, and that's all that mattered. That crate with that Koopa shell is one fewer candy at Christmas. That giant f***ing pipe that just pops you out right next to it pointlessly is that $5 penalty on your next birthday. Nintendo is pissed at us, and they're letting us know it. And of course, they're also permanently banning people who break the terms of service with their Switch 2. Anything from inappropriate usernames to straight up attempting to use pirated games are getting people irreversibly yeeted off the Switch 2 grid with no course or chance to apologize. And there's also the fact that they've kind of deliberately gone against what gamers have expressed they wanted with Mario Kart World. Since the game's launch, the general audience has expressed a dislike for the intermission races in between the multi-lap circuit tracks. Nintendo, in a recent update to Mario Kart World, made the selection of 3-lap courses significantly less likely to get picked in worldwide mode racing. That is a pretty deliberate expression of, oh, you don't like this thing that we were pressured into releasing before we wanted? Well, here's more of the thing you don't like as much and less of the thing you want. Suck it. But they're also subtly and coyly sticking it to us with all of these little barbs in the game world itself. We couldn't be patient and let them do their thing and do their thing their own way. All of us scoured the internet for leaks and watched all the videos of people who had 3D prints of the Switch 2. We woke up a bear too early from its hibernation, and that bear is angry. We should have just let it sleep until it was ready to give us another whole new era of awesome games and experiences. I really hope that Nintendo has got it out of their system with Mario Kart World and that Donkey Kong Bonanza is a pure experience from them with little to no jabs and pokes that are hard to interpret as anything other than deliberate. I am sorry, Nintendo. I didn't 3D print a Switch 2 model illegally or try to pirate any of your games, But I do apologize if it helps us to all get back in your good graces. We don't like it when you're mad at us. We want our sweet old grandma back with the awesome cookies and the watercolor set waiting for us whenever we visit. And that's going to do it for this episode of Space Castle, where it's our mission to explore all things nerdy in the universe. I'm your Captain DT, asking you to apologize to Nintendo too, no matter your transgressions, and ask them to please be nice to us again. And thanks as always to our amazing Galactonaut crew at patreon.com/spacecastleshow. Their continued support is more than I deserve or could ask for, and I appreciate all of you every day. I could never get mad at you and express it in passive-aggressive ways. And thank you so much to all of you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what you think we can do to make Nintendo happy again. This is your Captain DT, signing off.